This week in the news, Tekken producer leaves, the Xbox console was outsold, the Game Award roundups, and more. All of that on this week's Old Man Rages at the News for the 15th of December 2025. Before we get into the news, hit the like and subscribe buttons, kick back and relax. Kicking off this week with Katsushiro Harada leaving Bandai Namco at the end of 2025. The Tekken series reaches its 30th anniversary, and it was the most fitting moment to bring one chapter to a close. And a good portion of it is his stories. And if you want to go read it for yourself, please do. It's an amazing read. Before moving on, I would also like to add that he will be leaving the company at the end of the year. Bandai Namco asked him to appear at the Tekken World Tour Finals at the end of January 2026. He also released a 60-minute Tekken DJ-style non-stop mix edited by himself on SoundCloud. Link to that will be in the description. Moving on, Brown Dust 2 got removed from Steam. They did also say on their website, and I quote, "We've identified an issue where access to Brown Dust 2 game page and community features on Steam platform is restricted. We are in communication with Steam and working to resolve the issue as quickly as possible." Now, I can't confirm what exactly is the issue, but Brown Dust 2 wrote, "We have been preparing for a Steam launch for a long time, but during coordination with the platform's policy requirements, we encountered an issue that cannot be reasonably resolved with the current version of the game. After extensive internal discussion, we have decided not to proceed with a Steam release. So, until either party comes forth and says what exactly went wrong, we cannot say anything more." Moving on, and this time it's gonna be on something wild, because the Shenmue 4 video has absolutely no connection to developer YSNet. And now the studio is threatening legal actions as the footage misleads viewers into believing such content is official. So, this account posted what appeared to be a Shenmue 4 trailer that hasn't been verified by Sega. Then, at the start of the week, YCNet Inc. posted this statement. YCNet Inc. has confirmed that a video has been posted on social media which uses our company logo without permission, falsely giving the impression that it is an official Shenmue 4 released video, produced by us. This video has absolutely no connection to YSNet. Furthermore, at this time, YSNet has not released any trailers, footage, or other promotional materials related to Shenmue 4. They also recognize the unauthorized use of their logo and are working with relevant parties to prepare appropriate measures which include potential legal actions. Moving on, Roblox is back on the menu. This time, the game was banned in Russia, and as Newton's third law of motion states, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. The Kremlin got swarmed with children's complaints after the ban. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed on Tuesday that the presidential administration had received, quote, "many messages from children ahead of the president's annual end-of-year press conference." Online censorship advocate Yekaterina Mizulina said she received 6,300 letters from children aged 8 to 16, and get this, with half of them stating they wanted to leave Russia because of the ban. Yeah, okay. Anyways, this is obviously not the only thing Roblox has going against it. And this isn't as big as the next bit, since Florida has opened a criminal investigation into Roblox. Yeah, guess what? This is a bit more scary. If you're on the Roblox side, that is. But anyways, Legal Mindset has a great video on the matter. I'd suggest checking that out. Link to that will be in the description, because God knows I can't do legal shit justice. Moving on, Divinity Original Sins 3 is not happening at Larian, and they confirmed that the monument they posted is not linked to a toilet simulator. There were speculations that the Monolith teaser was for Divinity Original Sins 3, but Larian clarified that they are not making the game, nor a toilet simulator. The whole thing started in a chain post where publishing boss Michael Dowse retweeted this and wrote, "Hey, we weren't meant to announce that yet." One ex-user asked about Divinity Original Sins 3 and got a reply. There aren't currently any plans for new Divinity Original Sins 3 game, but once we are ready to show what we've been working on, we will. Another ex-user joked about how they could be making a toilet simulator with compelling character narration, and Michael replied with, "I can confirm we are not working on a toilet simulator at this moment." Meaning, there might still be a chance. And speaking of the Monolith, it was revealed that it was Divinity at the Game Awards, just not with a 3 at the end, or linked to Original Sins. Or is it? Have a look at the trailer for yourself, it's in the sources. And now, is this Valve cosplaying as Larian or Larian taking a page out of Valve's book? We'll never know. In other news, we can't have nice things without people ruining it. The Baldur's Gate 3 actress wants Nintendo to canonize a fan theory that Samus is a badass trans bounty hunter. Yeah, hold on, this is gonna get stupid. The gamer spoke to actress Abigail Thorne, and she called for Nintendo to, quote, "come out and tell us what we already know," and confirm the long-running quote-unquote fan theory that Samus is a trans girl. Now, actual fans of Metroid, well, let's put it like that. From the people that I've spoke with, they don't subscribe to that theory. And to me, this just screams a poor attempt to make their viewpoint the new norm. But hey, let's see what she actually has to say. I still think Nintendo should come out and tell us what we already know, which is that Samus is trans. People just think that we've misunderstood her character. They think that she's like a mother, and it's like, no, she's a badass trans bounty hunter from space, okay? She also talked about how good The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is, referring to giving the player control of the titular character, and interjecting by saying, "Also, Nintendo, call me when you make the Metroid movie." My question is, why don't they just make a new IP if they are so gung-ho about having a badass trans bounty hunter? Nintendo doesn't have to do that, and they don't have the right to force any of that to happen. That's exactly why, to me, this screams that they just want their viewpoint to become the norm. You know what? Let's see what happens with the 2027 live-action Zelda movie. That's gonna give everyone a good idea of what fans of these series want. And who knows, maybe Nintendo will listen for once. Moving on, developers of the studio behind the new Postal game got shut down after the game was announced, and also cancelled over generative AI allegations. The studio behind the Postal franchise announced that it will publish a brand new Postal game, which was developed by Goonswarm Games. The game was then announced to be cancelled because of Goonswarm using generative AI in its development, and Goonswarm is shutting down. You can even see a Reddit post on r/portal about how disappointed the community is for using AI. The worst part is that both Goonswarm and Earning with Scissors denied the use of generative AI. Goonswarm even told PC gamers, and no generative AI was used for the reveal trailer or for the game. All assets were created by our human artists using standard tools. We've already shared layered PSDs, work in progress files, and other materials to confirm this. Any mistakes or rough spots in those files are being misinterpreted as, quote, proof of AI, but they simply reflect the normal human art creation process. However, after investigation done by Running with Scissors, the game got cancelled, and a few days later, Goonswarm Games posted on their X account, basically confirming the allegations. Running with Scissors also posted an Instagram update saying, quote, following our statement on Friday, Running with Scissors would like to share an update. While we needed to cut ties with Goonswarm Games on Friday and state the reason for doing so, our broken trust. we still wanted to give Gunswarm the time and space to be transparent about what had occurred. There is more to that statement. If you want to read it for yourself, please go right ahead. Links will be in the sources. In other news, remember Netflix trying to buy Warnor Bros? Yeah, now Netflix considers Warnor Bros games to be pretty much worthless. Quite a huge slap on the face of the studio. Netflix co-CEO Gregory Peters told investors that when it came to Warner's gaming division, it didn't even factor into the $38 billion deal because they are, quote, relatively minor compared to the grand scheme of things. Yes, you can see Gregory Peters admitting that the studio did some great work, but it's still not enough. Well, maybe because the only good thing recently that came out of the studio was Hogwarts Legacy. But that's just my 2 cents. In other news, a Square Enix major shareholder drops a 100-page presentation criticizing how the company is managed and rallies other shareholders. The shareholder is 3D Investment Partners, who owns 14.36% of the company and who called to other investors to join them in sharing frank opinions on Square Enix's ongoing issue. The purpose of this is to pursue constructive dialogue with company leadership. In the new announcement, 3 investment partners agrees that despite being a national brand who owns world-class franchises, Square has been facing stagnant revenue growth and weak profit margins over the past 3 years. It's even worse if you compare it to the likes of Nintendo, Capcom, and other Japanese companies. The fund blames the underperformance of Square on console and mobile game sectors, as well as exceptionally large write-downs related to cancelled games. Even with Square Enix's plan to reboot for its fiscal year 2025 through 2027, 3D Investment implies this plan is insufficient and too vague. Some of the issues cited are a lack of concrete vision for long-term recovery, lowballed improvement margins, and a lack of concrete execution plans or key performance indicators for measures meant to address the company's problems. Now, I've said this before in the past when talking about Square Enix, and I'll say it again until it happens. Start by getting rid of that department. You know what I'm talking about. The ethics department. And now for something funny. Xbox was outsold by a Kinect-style console during Black Friday. That's according to Circana data shared on Blue Sky, which suggests that the family console Next Playground took 14% of the market for the week ending November 29th. Matt Piscatella wrote, in the US, PlayStation 5 accounted for 47% of total Black Friday week hardware unit sale, leading the market. Nintendo Switch 2 ranked second with 24%, with the Next Playground third at 14%. This means that Xbox is less than 14%. Oof. And a big oof for that. He also previously wrote this. US best-selling hardware SKUs for week ending November 22nd, 2025. Ranked on units sold. Number 1, Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart Worlds Bundle. 2, NEX Playground Interactive Gaming System. 3, PS5 Slim Digital 1TB. So that's neat. This wasn't just a one-off thing. I don't want to be in Phil Spencer's shoes right now. In other news, Ubisoft devs think Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is better in third person. Cool, they finally fulfilled a long requested feature that the players wanted. Now, can you stop with your delusions because you're not hard to beat, Ubisoft? But before we get into the actual quote, I would like to remind people that this is Games Radar, and they believe that high quality is synonymous with Ubisoft Quebec's work. Ugh, the delusion runs deep. Not only that, but the journalist believes that Assassin's Creed Syndicate walked so shadows could run. Face first into a brick wall, most likely. I mean, objectively speaking, Syndicate was 100 times better experience than whatever Shadows is. The combat was still what could be classified as Assassin's Creed. It was never about, I don't know, realism or, whatever Shadow stands for. It was a power fantasy. Short and simple. But anyways, enough with me ranting. Game director Simon Lemay-Comtois also noted that one of the most important aspects was making two characters with separate, distinct play styles. And you would think it would be a different way to assassinate in an assassin-based game, like have one focus on manipulating events in such a way to cause the death of the target, but nope, just one pure stealth, and one, as he said, a battering ram. Cause we sure needed a battering ram in a stealth game. I mean, come to think of it, if you kill everything in a stronghold or a base, is there really any NPC that can spot you? So in a matter of speaking, yeah, a battering ram! You just pray whatever is outside the stronghold doesn't notice you barging through the door or wall or whatever. Anyways, Games Radar also believes that it would be a shame that there won't be a second Kanawashi-sized DLC, and frankly speaking, I agree with them. It's a shame because there won't be another thing we can point at and laugh, considering how big of a fumble this game is. The rest is word vomit, so I'm gonna spare you the suffering. It's not worth your time to read this article in my honest opinion. On the bright side, they admitted the game was divisive and split the fanbase. It's not because of the dual protagonists that made the game divisive, but oh well, they can have their own delusions. Just talking about it over and over again feels like beating a dead horse. If only these outlets and Ubisoft could just drop this subject, but oh well, shills be shilling. And now for something I can only call a masterpiece of rage baiting. There were posts like these in the past few weeks where they used AI to make ugly female characters actually appealing. And you can see this bait is clearly working well, because out of all of it, it got millions of views with replies like these. I know this isn't really news, but I figured at least someone could have a good laugh at this, so here's some Twitter brain rot for ya. It's funny to see all these replies of people getting triggered. Oh boy. Now, speaking of brain rot, Kotaku is refusing to let bygones be bygones and writes an article on Veilguard. Yeah, and here I was lamenting Ubisoft's inability to let things go. They're competing with Kotaku, apparently. Now, I was thinking of putting it in last week's news, but I figured maybe BioWare might do something. And I was stupid for thinking they would actually do something. So now you get to enjoy making a mockery out of their poor attempts to make the game look appealing. They wrote this article. Dragon Age Day comes and goes in complete silence just 1 year after Veilguard. Yeah. No shit, Sherlock. The people who played Dragon Age don't like Veilguard's direction. Nobody's gonna celebrate it. The article starts by mentioning how December the 4th is unofficially Dragon Age Day that BioWare used to participate in. Now, if you look at their X account, there's absolutely nothing. They also remind that the studio became a one-game studio after the massive layoffs back in January, meaning no 5th Dragon Age game. And yes, the silence does cast a shadow on the RPG series past. And I know this will be a hard pill to swallow for Kotaku, but do you think even for a second this shadow wouldn't be there if they actually continued the game how it's supposed to go? They also wrote, in the months since BioWare was gutted of veteran talent and Dragon Age Veilguard was thrown under a bus by parent company Electronic Arts, developers have been candid about how the Dragon Age team felt like it wasn't treated fairly by the broader company. Ah, yes, you expect a company who is made to make money to be like, oh, I see you tried your best. Here, have a chocolate bar and try again. No. EA is currently in a state where they physically cannot afford it because Veilguard is a living proof they turned their backs on gamers and only looked at the modern audience that doesn't even buy their stupid games. So, Kotaku, you can keep coping hard in your pity corner while I enjoy something good. And last but not least, we have the Game Awards. Now, this will be mainly going over who won what category, so if you already know, thanks for sticking around, and as per usual, hit like and subscribe. Any controversies or whinings about X game not winning will be saved for next week. And without further ado, we're kicking it off with the best family game, going over to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Well, it wasn't a Mario game, so I guess that's something? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I'll be somewhat sarcastic based on the nominations. The next category was Innovation and Accessibility, where Doom the Dark Ages took the win. I mean, considering the gameplay looked like you used a wheelchair to move in between enemies, way to go accessibility, I guess. For the best esports game, Counter-Strike 2 won that category. Yeah, shocking to no one I know, considering it's the most played esports title. And practically the easiest one to follow if you have no idea about the scene. It's like, you have 12 people, they have guns, they shoot at stuff, somebody grenades themselves live on stream, Twitch chat laughs. But anyways, the best esports athlete was Chovy, who I have no idea who that is, so I'm not even gonna take a pot shot at. And the best esports team was Team Vitality. Guess they were a lively bunch if they won the best esports team. The best mobile game was Uma Musume, aka a bunch of horse girls that are horsing around. The best independent game was Clair Obscur Expedition 33, to the surprise of all the game journalists. The best adaptation went to The Last of Us Season 2. Apparently the bar was set quite low for that category. The best action game was Hades 2, a game that went live on the 6th of May 2024. Let that sink in. The best performance went to Jennifer English. I have nothing to say there really. And the games for Impact went to South of Midnight. Apparently, that was the category that was used to throw a bone to the journalists so they could actually win something. The best ongoing game was No Man's Sky. Apparently, nobody went to the sky to check what that was all about, but hey. The best audio design went to Battlefield 6, with its apparent explosions, realistic audio, and that 13-year-old kid on Xbox Live screaming in his mic. The Content Creator of the Year category, which apparently that was a thing, went to Moist Critical.
Did I jump scare you?
The best fighting game went to Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, beating out the entirety of the Street Fighter collection. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna compare to the Mortal Kombat collection. That thing had a janky launch. And the most anticipated game, of course, to no one's surprise, went to GTA 6. The Game Awards Game Changer went to Girls Make Games. Nice I suppose. The best action-adventure game went to Storefront Breaker, Hollow Knight Silk Song. The best art directive went to The French. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The best sim/strategy game went to Final Tactics The Evilest Chronicles. Oh wow, Square won something. Surprise, surprise. The best debut indie and the best score music went to, again, The French with Expedition 33. The best sports/racing game went to an Italian plumber with a Mexican background that probably entered the US legally, called Mario. Apparently he was running an underground business for Mario Kart World. The best community support went to Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, I can see it. The best VR/AR game went to The Midnight Walk, and yeah, I have no idea what this game's about. Can't really make fun of it. The best RPG went to, again, Expedition 33. Imagine having 32 expeditions before that failed getting the best RPG award. The award for player's voice went to Wuthering Waves. Oh, there was a category player's voice? I didn't know that. The best narrative and best game directions, yet again, waved the French flag. Oui oui bon ami, with Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The best multiplayer game, despite that one journalist that was clinically obsessed with AI in it, is our creators. You all know who that was. And of course, Game of the Year again went to the aggressively French game called Expedition 33. And just because I haven't had enough of saying the game's name, I also want to point out Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was such a successful game that it set a new record for awards won. The game was nominated for 13 categories and won 9 awards, beating The Last of Us Part 2, which won 7 awards in 2020. Now, personally, I would also like to highlight something during the Game Awards. This guy over here, Pedro Stache, or as the comment section knows him as, the Flute Guy. The Mad Lad was part of the orchestra that played before the Game of the Year was announced, and the Mad Lad played 7 different types of flutes, with one of them being homemade using PVC for good measure. Boy, gotta see this. Every time the camera was on him, brought a smile to my face, seeing someone who does what he loves on stage performing. It's something alright. And on that happy note, that's all for this week. Again, if you enjoy the content, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time.